All right, you guys, welcome back to the show. I have another one of our students from our coaching program, Mr. Robert Lee, with me today. Robert, thank you so much for jumping on with us today.
Yeah, sure. Happy to be here, Brandon.
Yeah, so I want to kind of share your story from the time we met each other and what brought you into real estate and where you're at today. But before we jump in, tell the audience really quick, where do you sell real estate?
In Los Angeles, California. Specifically, my office is in West Hollywood, so Sunset Strip, essentially.
Yeah, so probably one of the most competitive markets in the world.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you're selling real estate in one of the toughest places to sell real estate. It seems like, when people say, everyone's a realtor, like they mean it in LA. Like you go out to eat, the person working behind the Starbucks, they all are licensed realtors, right?
Oh yeah, they're everywhere. They're
That's
all
so
over
funny.
the place.
So for context, Robert, how long have you been selling real estate?
I have had my license since January of this year.
Got it. Okay. So, all right. So this is really this will be 2021 will be your first full year in real estate, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And how long have now you and I been working together?
I actually, before the interview, I did some research to look back, and I started on March 5th.
Got it. Okay, cool. So I guess my first question, I'm always kind of, I guess interested what led you into this business. And now it makes sense because you're in LA. Like there's probably the sexiest place from the outside looking in to sell real estate, right? This is where all the shows are at. It's what causes all this chaos in our industry. So you're to blame. No, I'm just kidding. So what were you doing before and what led you to get into real estate sales?
So prior to this, I worked with my father in industrial commercial real estate, but I wasn't licensed. I just kind of assisted him with translation and just kind of like office management type stuff. I also ran like retail businesses and online businesses, and I was basically just an entrepreneur.
Got it. I love it. And so when you got into the business this year, this is another question I love to dig deep on because it's really interesting to me. Was real estate what you thought it was going to be when you got into it, or was it harder or easier, or how was it different than what you thought you were getting into?
Okay, so what I thought was it was going to be. I thought I wasn't going to get paid for at least a year. That's what everyone says.
Okay.
Right? They say don't even expect to get paid for at least a year. I expected to get business mostly from my friends and family and people that I knew. I was going to try and work the network that I had and the people that I knew, and which I did. But I thought it was going to be a lot more of kind of working your network and your friends and family and the current business associates that I had at that time.
And is that how it worked out for you, or did you find that you had to do something different?
That's not how it worked out at all. I mean, I'm sure eventually my friends and family will use me, but yeah, I mean, I let everyone know I was an agent. I sent out cards and called people, and they're all happy for me, but none of them wanted to use me to do anything. So I realized that I wasn't going to get that much activity off of my friends, and I honestly I didn't even really want to, because I didn't want to beg my friends and family for a handout.
Yeah,
I wanted to earn some. I wanted to show something for myself first.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, it's rare that really people know somebody right this second, or multiple people that are even having to buy or sell a house anyways, right? So was it that people that you knew were buying and selling homes and deciding to use different realtors, or just the people you knew in your immediate sphere weren't moving?
Yeah, they're just not moving.
Exactly.
And many of them don't even live near me. I mean, a lot of my friends and family have moved out of state, or they just live someplace that's not really relevant. So, I mean, I let them know, hey, if you know someone, refer me, but they don't even live in the area. So actually what it was I was like looking at YouTube and Googling, different prospecting videos. And I came and there was there's a lot of gurus out there, really famous guys. Tons, as you know. But I came across one of your old videos, and it was you prospecting, cold calling for like, I think 30 minutes. And you did it from start to finish. And you booked like, 2 or 3 appointments. And I just saw you do it. And I was like, you know what? I can do that. I just felt like I could do it. I have telemarketing experience from when I was like in my 20s, early 20s. So, back then I was getting people to give me their credit card number over the phone. I thought to myself, this is just all I got to do is get them to agree to meet me, like
Yep.
just an appointment. So I felt like this is easy. I can do it.
Got it. Got it. Okay, cool. So yeah, you found out very quickly something I think most new agents find out, which is like most of us get into the industry thinking that our friends, family, and that our networks are going to be enough to like help us thrive and survive in this industry. It's very quickly that we find out, well, I can't rely on that because I don't know that many people that are moving. That's what makes real estate so hard. Unlike if you and I were like mortgage loan officers, everyone that owns a home could be a client because we could go after a refinance. If you and I sold insurance, anybody that owned a car or a house, we could go after them. But this is different because people only move every 7, 10, 12 years. So you said, okay, I need to figure out how I'm going to generate business, how I'm going to generate income. And you came across one of my videos, but I am curious, did you try, before you started doing direct prospecting, did you try anything else to generate leads in business?
Yeah, I sent out postcards. I chose an area that I thought, I wanted to work. It was a high dollar, listing area. It was an area that I was familiar with, that I grew up in as a child. So I thought, okay, I'm going to target this area, but I didn't have any sales. I didn't have anything to really show for myself. So, it's just a fruitless effort because you're sending out mailers and postcards to people, but they have no connection to you. You have no, track record of sales. So it didn't really work. I didn't really gain anything from it.
It's like the hope and pray strategy I talk about. Cause I think, so it's so funny. This is like textbook, and you didn't know what you didn't know, but the textbook part of this is what I mean, Robert. And now you can tell a new agent what you went through is they come in thinking friends and family is going to be enough. They quickly find out, okay, well, that's not going to work. Then they start to do like the passive waiting game. All right, let me do some passive marketing. I'll throw out some mailers. I'll do some social media, and then I'll sit back and wait and pray. So tell us, how did the postcards work out for you?
Postcards didn't work out. I did social media too. In the beginning, I was like watching a lot of Tom Ferry stuff, and he's all about like social media. You gotta like hit all these different markers in social media. I was like making all these random videos and like trying to teach people stuff. I felt like a fraud because I was like, I haven't even sold anything, and I'm like making videos trying to teach people stuff.
Little imposter syndrome.
It just didn't work out. I haven't got a single lead from a post that I put out on social media.
Yeah. So then finally you're like, all right, dude, I got to figure out a way to make money for my family and sell real estate. So then you start, so then you and I start working together in March. And what I teach is a system that I believe puts somebody in control of their own life, of their business, where you control, how much business you do by the amount of effort you put forth. So I want to talk through, Robert, kind of your journey, right? So like up from January to March, what was the production like before we met?
Non-existent.
Zero.
Yeah. Zero.
Got it. So we meet in March, and tell me about that. When we first got started, I remember going back a little bit. I mean, it didn't come easy, right? Like it was hard to get things going because you had to work on skills, you had to work on mindset, systems, processes, your presentation, there's a lot of stuff that we threw at you.
Yeah.
Walk us kind of through that process when you first got started.
Well, so prior to joining, I saw your video, but I was kind of hesitant whether I should join or not. And I was talking to a lot of people in my office, and they were discouraging me from, cold calling, going after sell owners. So I kind of was like on the fence, like, should I do what people in my office are telling me, or should I follow Brandon and join this program? And I just decided to just join the program. I said, you know what, this is gonna work. I can feel it. So I just joined. But in the beginning, it was hard. I went through your entire program. I learned everything, and I kind of, fit things to work with my company and things that, worked for me. And I started calling every day. I was calling, and in the beginning, I was getting a lot of previews using the 1.0 script.
Sure.
But I went on a lot of previews. I followed up with a lot of people, and it didn't lead anywhere in that first month. So it was discouraging in the beginning. And you start to doubt it. I start to think to myself, does it not work here? Maybe it doesn't work in LA. Maybe it doesn't work in this market. That's what other people say. Hey, maybe it works over there, but it doesn't work in our market.
Right.
So I started to doubt it. But you know what? I just said, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing it. And I got my first listing in April. April 13th, it went live.
That's amazing. Amazing. So so just after your 30 days of joining in LA, tell us about that listing. What was the price of the property that you got?
It was a $1.8 million house in Hancock Park, which is like a pretty wealthy area of Los Angeles.
Yeah. Amazing. And what kind of income did that represent selling that property?
I mean, it's, even with, my broker split, which was horrible, I still made over $20,000.
It's amazing. It's incredible. So now you kind of go through that, right? So I want to walk the audience through, Robert, maybe some of the things that you have learned that, because if you fast forward to like right now, as we're doing this interview, everything's different, right? Like even your confidence and your results. So walk us through like that transition. What has changed now for you from a mindset perspective? And then let's get into some tactical things as well.
Okay. Well, I remember when the owner of that house was a 40-year veteran of law enforcement.
Okay.
He was in the highway patrol. He was a detective in the LAPD. So he's a very firm, driver type of guy.
Yeah.
And I just remember when he called me to come over, and when I did the listing appointment, I was so nervous. I was like, my palms were sweating. I was like, I didn't know what to say. So I was just completely honest with him. I said, look, I'm brand new. I've never sold a house before. This will be my first listing. I didn't want to lie to him at all. I was just totally upfront, and it disarmed him. And he just said, okay, I trust you. Let's do it.
It's amazing. And really quick, and then we'll kind of get into some stuff you're doing now. But how was the process? I mean, selling your first house?
It was intense because there were a lot of issues with the house. Things came up, but I learned a lot. He was a very difficult seller. He initially only wanted to do a 30-day listing.
Got it.
So I talked him into 60 days. Well, I know 90 days is typically the shortest amount. So I knew I was in a time crunch. He wanted to add all these addendums to the contract, and even my broker was like, man, they've never seen anything this complicated. So my first deal was a very picky seller who wanted a very short listing period, and he wanted to add all these addendums and things terms to the contract. And initially, my broker didn't even want to approve the listing because she felt like the listing period is too short and there's too many conditions. So she didn't even want to approve it. I had to kind of push for it. But we got it sold within 30 days.
Amazing. Yeah. So now what do things look like? Like what does your business look like today? What kind of appointments are you going on? What lead sources are you working? Give us a snapshot of the business today.
Sure. I currently have, so far total 5 listings, not active, but total since I started. Currently I have 2 active listings, and one is a $2.5 million house in Laurel Canyon, which is the area that I initially wanted to work through the farming postcards.
Sure.
I got that from cold calling.
It's amazing.
So I work for sell by owners mostly, but I also call expireds for rent by owners. I circle prospect around my listings.
Sure. That's amazing.
Those all bring me good leads. And just to tell you, my confidence level is way higher now. I'm much more comfortable on the phones and during listing appointments as well.
Awesome. And I want to talk about that in a second too. So the production you have now, because you're selling, what is your average price in your market? Is it over $1 million?
It's about 900,000 in
900,000. Got it. Okay.
In my market, probably it's over $1 million in my direct market.
Sure. But the further out you go, maybe it goes down a little bit. So your first full year, given that the first couple of months you were just getting things going, really, it's been the last 6 months really where things have really ramped up for you. How much in volume will you finish, do you think, your first full year in real estate? Like based on what you've closed, what your pipeline looks like, and what all that looks like, where do you think you're going to end up?
Well, currently I'm at 4.5 million in closed sales.
Volume. Yep.
Volume. If everything that I have listed closes by the end of this year, it will be 8 million. And I'm expecting to, have like 10 million. That's my goal for this year.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And 10 million in your market will equate into what type of income in LA? Roughly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to be 100,000 or more. I don't know. I mean, the problem is I have a really bad broker split right now, so I don't like to think about what I'm getting because I invest a lot into these listings because I'm just getting started.
Yep.
My takeaway money probably is not what it should be, but I'm going to change that next year.
Yeah, you're working towards that. I mean, this year is really just about building a nice foundation, building your skills, right? So tell us. You just said a minute ago. You said your confidence is way better than it was before, either on the phone and in the presentation. What was different? What changed for you to make you more confident now?
Just consistency and putting in hours on the phone. I mean, it's like working out. You got or any type of sport or any type of hobby that you do. You have to keep doing it, and you get better over time.
Would you agree now that the learning is in the doing and not in, like, you've heard me say that I don't know how many times, but like I always try to tell people, you're just going to learn so much better getting out there, making the calls, meeting with people than you will in a textbook, right? Do you agree with that philosophy now?
100%.
Yeah.
I think I see this in people in the physical domination group and just in general. They want to master the script. They want to learn everything before they start, and they never get started. And I barely knew what I was doing, but I was going on previews. I was making calls, and I was driving out to faraway places to meet homeowners and answer questions. And just by going on these previews and meeting homeowners and walking through houses and going through the process over and over and over again, you just get better at it. And you learn through the doing. You can't learn from books, or you learn tactics through books, but you get better at it by doing it.
Yeah. You need the experience to gain confidence. That's the correlation, I think, Robert, that I would give to a new agent. Hey, if you want to be confident, you're going to get a lot more confidence from experience than you will in learning the material. And so what advice would you give to somebody who says, man, I don't know if I feel comfortable with that. I never been on a preview appointment. I never made a phone call to a for sale by owner. I just want to keep studying, and it's their safe place. But what advice would you give to maybe a brand new real estate agent, or to yourself if you go back a year from now or a year ago?
Right.
What advice would you give?
Just get on the phone, book preview appointments, and go on previews.
Yeah,
that's it. Just do it. You got to do it. Don't hesitate, and don't worry about what you know or don't know. I was so worried about what I didn't know, and I mean, every listing appointment I went on, every preview appointment I went on, for the most part, as long as I knew basic information about that house and that neighborhood, that was good enough. I didn't have to be this, encyclopedia of real estate knowledge.
I love it. So tell us a little bit about your follow-up and what you do. After you meet a prospect, it's a good meeting. What are you doing to follow up and earn the listing appointment long-term?
I follow your program. I send out the card. It's a lotto ticket, handwritten card. Always do that. I call. I always try to add value.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll if there's I set up alerts so I know when a property will pop up in their neighborhood, or something just went active, or something just sold, and then I'll call them and say, hey, did you know this? This property just went up for sale, not far from you, and I'll compare their house to that house. I email and text. And I call. So I just do a combination of all those three. And I try to figure out what that person likes. Some people like to be called, some people like to be texted. So I just try and figure that out early in the process and just follow up that way.
Yeah. Would you say that the basis of your follow-up, the majority of it comes from setting yourself up on that alert? Because I cannot tell you, to try to get a real estate agent to come up with custom content to send every week is impossible. Mm-hmm. So the MLS alert with the active pendings and sold for a seller I mean, that's the most valuable information you can even give to a seller. So is that the premise, the baseline of your follow-up strategy?
Yeah, pretty much. Because I want to be the first, because I know there's so many agents out there trying to add value to these people too. I mean, I'm not the only one. So
Yeah.
I want to have that alert so I can know right away, okay, I'm going to give this person valuable information that's current and, just came out. So
Love
yeah,
it.
I think
I love
it's
it.
vital.
All right. So let's talk about the presentation now, the listing presentation. Cause on my Instagram and email, like I get so many questions from new agents who say, how can I go out there and get a listing when I'm brand new? Like, how is that even possible? You're sitting here going to do 5, 7, 8, $10 million in LA, one of the hardest markets in the world, not in the country, in the world to sell real estate. And you're able to get $1-2 million listings. How would you answer that question?
I think people appreciate honesty. People appreciate when, you're just straight up with them. And there's so many agents out there that are just cheesy and shady, and people can see right through that, And number one, I ask questions, just like you teach us. Yeah. I don't talk too much. I just ask questions. I get them talking. I want them to talk about their house. I want them to tell me what they love about their house and tell me where they want to move to. I'm trying to identify their desires and their, what they want, so I can help them rather than like show what a great agent I am and like how many houses I sell, all that.
I mean, for all of you that are watching this right now, like he just gave you the secret. Robert, you just dropped the secret. What you learned was you're so much better off getting the prospect to tell you what is important to them instead of trying to convince them that you're the right agent. When you start to try to convince and you start to sell, now you're getting yourself into trouble. Now you're starting to sell a commodity where you can ask questions, they feel more comfortable with you. And that is how we sell. That's how we connect. Would you agree?
100%. Yeah.
I love it. Totally. I love it. Totally. So for all of you that are newer to the business in your first 1, 2, 3 years, and you're struggling from a mindset perspective to say, how can I convince these sellers to use me? That's the wrong question. The question is, what question can I ask them, right, to get them more comfortable with me so they will use me? That's the right. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it makes them feel like this guy cares.
That's right.
This guy really, he wants to help me. He's not just trying to, get a sale, another notch on his belt,
And it's because it's not what we say, it's how we make people feel that gets them to take action and make decisions. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Like you try to go in there with a fancy script and all this stuff, like you're asking for objections. You're asking for them to push back. But
right.
if it's all about how you make them feel, if you can make them feel confident and comfortable with you, that's all you need to get the listing. So
yeah, I mean, just
go ahead.
Just to tell you a brief story, the last listing I got, the $2.5 million one in Laurel Canyon, I was up against another agent, a Compass agent, who's very successful. He sells a lot of houses in that area, and he's an established agent. I haven't sold a single house in Laurel Canyon. So I just told her straight up, I've never sold a house in this area, but I grew up here. I know the area, and I currently have a listing that's in escrow. So, or 2 listings that are in escrow. So if you were to give me this listing, I'll dedicate all my time and energy to helping you get this house sold. And, I'm not like this guy who's super busy and has like 20 listings to manage and I'm juggling all this stuff. Your house will be my priority. And I just told her that I was confident and I could get it done. And she chose me over the other guy.
That's an amazing story, man. That is really, really cool. Cause yeah, I think you said it a couple of times. It's your authenticity. Even this interview, I think, I mean, certainly people are going to feel you're just who you are. You're not trying to be somebody you're not, and you're just being honest. You're being open. You're being vulnerable. And that's a very attractive characteristic. So that's amazing that you can be that way. And not only be that way, which is who you are, but you can be confident in knowing who you are. And you're new to the business and you're going to do a great job. And if people hire you, they're going to get taken care of, and that's what you're trying to communicate.
Right. Totally.
Yeah. So with this new skill, right, we're making this recording at the end of October, 2021. When you start to think about, Robert, maybe your business plan for 2022 and beyond, the future in this business, what are some of the things that you think about as far as what you can accomplish?
I mean, I feel like if I really focus, to be honest, I haven't even really been focusing and working as hard as I can. And I know that. And people are always telling me, oh, you're killing it. You're so successful. But there's a piece of me that feels like, man, you could do better. You could do more than this, you know? And I always, I'm never satisfied. So to me, I'm not even happy with my level of success right now. And I beat myself up all the time, like saying, hey, you could have called another hour. You could have did more. So, you know, I put this up on the board here. You can't really see it, but my goal for next year is $36 million in gross sales. And I think I can reach that by doing 200 calls per day, 5 days a week.
Amazing. Yeah, because, you know, this will be another video shoot, but I want to interview you again at the end of next year.
I love that.
All right, that'd be great. We will absolutely do that. And the thing is, for all of you that are watching the replay of this, the reason why, and I want your take on this, Robert, the reason why you can do that, yes, your skills are better. Yes, you have more experience. Yes, you're more confident. But the thing that's beneath the surface that new real estate agents can't comprehend with words, I haven't figured a way to say this, is you have a pipeline that's maturing with all these leads. You're making hundreds of dials per day. You're not listing hundreds of homes a day. Those people are going into the database, being nurtured over time. You're following up with them. All those people are the future business for next year. How would you describe that to a new agent who's never been in sales, who doesn't understand pipeline maturity and the compound effect of all these contacts? I want to hear how you would explain what's actually happening beneath the surface.
Well, I mean, it's just a matter of building over time. I mean, it's like an avalanche or like a wave, or, you know, it builds momentum, and you have to keep adding. And every time you call and people get discouraged, like everyone wants quick things. They want instant success, right? But it takes time, and you have to build it over time. And the more calls you make, like you said, you add people to your database, you follow up, you nurture them, and these things grow into listing. It's like a farm, like you're planting seeds all over the place. And
that's right.
Some of them may not grow into anything, but you know, when a ripe fruit grows, you just pick it and it's right there, you know. And the more you build this pipeline, as you're saying, you're just picture a huge farm filled with plants, and you're just like picking them, you know. It's like if you don't create a pipeline, you're not making a farm of plants to pull.
That's right.
To pick.
Yeah. I mean, one of the best examples of this is, you know, we had Kevin Mills on the channel, on the podcast. He came into our coaching group and talked about this. And I mean, he's a young guy. He's been doing this for 6 years, and he's been making 50 contacts a day, not 150, 50 contacts a day, 5 days a week for 6 years. His first year, he did like 40 deals. Then it was 80. Then it was 120. Then up till last year, he did 250 deals, still working the same amount. And the reason for that, and he explains it very well, is all those. So like the 50 contacts a day compounded day after day after day after day. Here's the reality. We talked about this at the beginning of this episode. Most human beings don't move that often. And most people that are thinking about moving aren't moving this second, this hour. It's a massive decision to move a family, whether it be across town or across country. And the fact is, it takes time. So the contacts you're going to make this afternoon and tomorrow, I mean, the reality is most of those people aren't selling until 2022, right?
Right, exactly.
But between now and then, you probably would have met them. Now you're following up with them. Now you're in rapport. You have a relationship. They trust you. So when you talk to them next year for the 4th, 5th, 6th time, it's no longer a cold call, because now you have the relationship. And that's what we're talking about.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Yeah, it takes time, and it's going to build over time. And when it does, it's just going to explode.
Yeah.
At that moment, if you keep building it.
Yeah, I love it. So last question for you. Okay. So we talked a little bit about this, but I want to get a little bit deeper. Like, if you, knowing what you know now, if you started all over again, you went through real estate school, you got your license again. It was January 2021, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give yourself that other new agents that are watching this can benefit from?
I would have joined FSBO Domination right away. I probably would have joined before I even got licensed. And I would have started calling and going on preview appointments like in January. I probably would have more by now.
I love it. Well, thank you for that. And you just, to add on that, you would have called because what you would have been able to tell yourself is like, it's okay. You don't know what you're doing. The faster you get on the phone, the faster you fail, the faster you make mistakes will speed up the learning process. And what most new agents do is they try to delay that as quick as much as they can. Like, I want to learn more. I want to work on my website. I want to work on my business cards. I need to learn the script. My presentation is not ready to go. They're further delaying their time when they start to get into momentum. So you would have said to yourself, dude, just go get beat up. Just go make a call today. Your first day in the business. You're not going to get the listing anyway. You might as well get the experience.
Totally. And I see it all the time. I see new agents who study and they're experts. They know everything. They learn everything.
Yep.
But what's the point of knowing stuff if you don't have a deal?
I know. It's amazing. I know there's so many agents out there that like know everything about every CRM. They know how to do all this Facebook ads. They know YouTube ads. They know this market. They know everything about everything. It's like, how many deals have you done? Well, I haven't sold a house yet. It's like, man, that is the definition of creative avoidance. So anyway, Robert, thank you so much for coming on the show. Are you coming to our summit next week? Are you able to make it this year?
I really wanted to, but I got family obligations. I can't make it, but I'm going to try and make it on the next one for sure.
Beautiful. Next year, 2022 is your year. So thank you so much. Right. We'll interview you again. And so if people have questions or they were inspired by your story, what's the best way for them to reach out? Or can they find you on Facebook or Instagram?
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram, Rob Lee Realty. I'm also on Facebook, and they can you can email me, robleerealty.com. I have a website.
Awesome. Well, Robert, thank you so much, man. Best of luck to you for the remainder of 2021. And I cannot wait to be by your side in 2022 because I know that you can do amazing things. So I appreciate you doing this, pouring back in the community. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate you, Brandon. I'm so happy I met you. Thank you.